Hello and welcome to DroiX. In today's retro present, we are taking a look back at the classic Sony PSP. Then we will match it up with something modern that you can relive the classics or experience those games for the first time. The Sony PSP launched in Japan in December 2004, with the rest of the world having to wait patiently until the year after. This PSP is my original UK launch model that I used back in the day to write and help test homebrew software. Apart from a new battery, it's still in great condition and works like it's the very first day. 2004 was a great time for handheld gaming as there was another major launch, the Nintendo DS. The Sony PSP launch price was $250 compared to the lower $150 of the DS. Despite the high cost, the popularity of the PlayStation brand helped sell over 80 million units. With it being Sony's first handheld, it was a great success, paving the way for the Vita. But it paled in comparison to the handheld masters Nintendo and their DS, which sold over 150 million units. As always, the tech specs are on screen for you to read. For its time, the specs were very impressive. It featured a high-performance CPU and GPU, plenty of RAM, built-in Wi-Fi, and a high-quality TFT display. Later models of the PSP saw changes in the hardware, such as different displays, more RAM, and smaller device sizes. The PSP used Sony's own custom UMD storage medium, which was capable of storing up to 1.8 gigs of data. For storing your own data, such as save files, music or videos, Sony went with their own Memory Stick Pro Duo cards, which were bloody expensive. I can remember having to get a friend in the USA to buy a 2 gigs card and send it over to me, as they were even more expensive here in the UK. Sony and their false use of their proprietary storage formats really annoys me. Thankfully, you can at least buy micro SD to Pro Duo adapters now. You can have the best handheld ever, but it's nothing without great games, and the PSP definitely had that covered. Over 1300 games were released for the PSP, which includes both physical and downloadable from the PSN store. The most popular games you probably all know: the Grand Theft Auto series, Gran Turismo, God of War, Daxter, and Metal Gear Solid, to name but a few. Other popular games, many of them in my personal favourites, include the music puzzle game Lumines, the creative platformer Little Big Planet, Half Minute Hero, Puzzle Quest, Hot Shots Golf, OutRun 2006 and Tekken 6. I don't think we could talk about the PSP and not mention hacking it to play homebrew and backups. This has been covered in great detail elsewhere, so this is just a very brief summary. It was a cat and mouse game with hackers and Sony to defeat and protect the PSP's security. Firmware updates were released, which were then bypassed, and this repeated until the final firmware, which was of course hacked. Now there are some great custom firmwares available that goes far beyond what the standard firmware can do. During this period, the PSP homebrew scene exploded with many game ports and emulators. Even to this day, the PSP is a popular choice for playing the older retro consoles. And talking of this day, how much will a PSP set you back now? Depending on the model, you can get one starting from around £30 to £40, and if you're lucky you can get a few games with it. For the actual games, due to the ease of installing custom firmware and playing them from storage, the actual UMDs sell for fairly cheap. You can expect to get bundles of UMD games in varying conditions for next to nothing, even as little as £10. The PSP was officially discontinued in 2014, but what if you want something a bit more modern to enjoy PSP games on? Enter the GPD XP. The GPD XP is the latest in Android handhelds from GPD. They made the popular XD and XD Plus handhelds, which kind of reinvigorated the old retro gaming handheld scene. You can watch our full review of the GPD XP via the link in the description or at the end of the video. It is a great device, not only capable of emulating up to PSP era systems, but also the latest AAA Android games. The XP comes with the excellent PSP emulator, PPSSPP installed. It is the free version which is fully featured. You can support development by buying the gold version. The emulator is ready to go, just add a few of your own games and press play to start. There's no other settings needed to change unless you want to increase the rendering resolution, for example. The GPD XP is great for PSP emulation. The screen is far larger, giving it more definition. It is, however, ultra widescreen, so there will be small borders on the left and right sides. The display is also touchscreen, so you can, if you wish to, navigate the emulator menus via this method. There's plenty of controls to match those on the PSP, all of which feel comfortable and responsive. In terms of compatibility with PSP games, PPSSPP is great. I have used this emulator very often in the past and I have not had any issues with games running. There are likely some incompatible games or those that have in-game issues, but I would say they are far and few between. Depending on the game's design, they will run at either 30 or 60 frames per second, and all of the games I have tried have run at their respective full speeds. You may notice a rare minor dip down to 58 or 59 on highly demanding games such as God of War, for example. Unless you have an eye on the FPS counter, it's so short you probably wouldn't notice. As with many emulators, it supports save states, which allow you to save your game at any point whilst playing. You can then later resume exactly from where you left off. It is perfect if you are in a rush and can't finish the level or find a save point. Overall, the GPD XP is a great handheld for PC emulation. It is highly compatible with games, runs just about everything at full speed, and it does it pretty much effortlessly. Not only is it great for PSP, it is also capable of playing classic retro gaming systems from the earliest up to the PSP era. Add in the fact that it is also great for Android gaming with access to the Google Play Store for apps. Then we have the perfect Android-based handheld for both old and new games. You can learn more about the GPD XP and buy yours today on our store at DroiX.net. Don't forget to use the code RETROPRESENT for a 5% discount when checking out. That wraps up this Retro Presents episode. We hope you have enjoyed it. If you have not already, please subscribe as it helps to grow the channel and we can keep making retro videos like this. Thanks for watching and we hope to see you back in the next video.